The Galactic Synod was a magnificent assembly, floating among the stars in a structure that spanned kilometers, shimmering like a web of light. It was here that countless alien civilizations came together to decide the future of the galaxy. Every planet, every species, every culture had a voice, well, most of them. And now, for the first time, humans were joining the council. Captain Alara Kane stood tall on the observation balcony of the human envoy ship. The Earth delegation had traveled for months, crossing light years of uncharted space. Her uniform, crisp and simple, marked her as both a diplomat and a representative of the species that had risen so quickly, so unexpectedly, in just a few centuries. Humans, she knew, had a reputation that was growing faster than most aliens could comprehend. Below her, the council hall stretched in a massive circle, filled with thousands of beings from dozens of species. Each one shimmered with unique energy, skin, or light that reflected their home worlds. The elders of the Synod sat at the center, their long lives filled with knowledge, wisdom, and caution. Among them was Master Orvan, an ancient being with translucent skin and eyes like liquid silver. He had studied humans long before they even left Earth's orbit. "They are unpredictable," Orvan murmured to the elder beside him, his voice a whisper that carried more weight than most public speeches. "And yet, they grow so fast, faster than anything I have seen in a millennium." The other elder, a tall creature with 6 limbs and a golden exoskeleton, nodded slowly. "I do not like it. Their minds are sharp, their instincts unusual. They do not obey the patterns we have seen in other civilizations. They cannot be controlled. That is dangerous." Orvan sighed. He had studied human history and culture from afar. The patterns were clear to him. Humans solved impossible problems with creativity, adapted to harsh conditions better than any other species, and most importantly, they were fiercely united when facing challenges. That combination, in Orvan's view, could tip the balance of power in the galaxy. The council hall opened with a roar of lights and voices. Delegates from hundreds of worlds chattered, their sounds blending into a symphony of alien communication. Humans were a curiosity to them, small, soft-bodied, and seemingly fragile, yet capable of enormous feats. Captain Kane stepped forward as the ambassador for Earth. "Honored members of the Galactic Synod," she began, her voice clear and confident. "We come not as conquerors, but as partners. Humans value cooperation, knowledge, and peace. Our goal is to learn from you, and to share what we have learned in return." There was polite applause from some delegates, but others whispered among themselves. Orvan watched Kane carefully. Humans could charm. That much was true. But charm alone did not make them predictable. And predictability, in the Synod, was safety. During the meeting, Orvan finally raised his warning. His silver eyes scanned the chamber, landing on the human delegation. "Honored members," he said slowly, "I speak not out of fear, but out of foresight. Humans are a species unlike any other. Their growth is rapid. Their minds are adaptable. Their creativity is unmatched. If we ignore this, we may be underestimating them to our own peril." A murmur spread across the hall. One elder stood to respond, a being from the planet Sirel, its body covered in shifting crystalline armor. "Orvan, we have studied humans. We know of their capabilities. Yet you speak as if they are already a threat. They are small, young, and inexperienced. Surely caution is enough." Orvan's voice sharpened slightly. "Caution is not enough. Humans do not follow patterns as other species do. They improvise, they learn, they adapt. Even if we assume they are young, their trajectory shows they will surpass our expectations far sooner than we imagine. If we continue to underestimate them, it will be too late." The human delegation, listening quietly, exchanged glances. Captain Kane remained calm. She had been trained for situations like this, for moments when alien species tried to underestimate or intimidate her people. Humans, she knew, had survived far worse on Earth. Famine, war, disease they had learned to endure, to overcome, to create solutions where none seemed possible. Another elder rose, a soft-spoken being from the ocean world of Thalis, with long fins and deep blue skin. I do not doubt your wisdom, Orvan. But I must ask, are you suggesting we restrict humans? Control them? Preemptively act against a species we have only just welcomed? Orvan shook his head slowly. No. I suggest observation, vigilance, and preparation. Do not be lulled by their politeness, their curiosity, or their seeming friendliness. Watch them. Learn from them. And above all, do not dismiss what is already written in history. The youngest and smallest can become the greatest. The council moved on, debating trade agreements, exploration rights, and resource sharing. Orvan's warning, though serious, was quietly pushed aside. Profit, diplomacy, and politics outweighed foresight. Captain Kane listened carefully, noting the subtle glances and quiet whispers about humans. She understood fully that while the humans were not yet feared, some delegates were beginning to feel a mixture of curiosity and unease. Weeks later, the humans were allowed to visit Viridian, a neutral planet known for its rich mineral deposits. The human miners and scientists began their work with the same ingenuity that had defined them on Earth. They created energy-efficient drills, adaptive suits for harsh environments, and robots that could perform complex tasks autonomously. A sudden, unplanned challenge arose. A minor rockslide trapped several miners deep underground. The alien supervisors panicked, unsure how to respond. Humans, however, acted quickly. Using improvised equipment and teamwork, they rescued everyone without waiting for permission or extensive council procedures. Their solution combined physics, intuition, and a willingness to take calculated risks. Word of this spread quickly through the Synod. Some were impressed, others were uneasy. Orvan, observing from afar, knew exactly what this meant. Humans were learning faster than anyone had predicted, and more importantly, they were capable of creating solutions in ways no other species could anticipate. Back in the council, Orvan quietly recorded his observations. They do not see limits the way we do, he noted in his personal logs. They are fearless not because they lack caution, but because their minds bend around problems, like water around rocks. They adapt. They grow, and if unchecked, they will alter the balance of power in the galaxy. Captain Kane, meanwhile, continued her work with a calm determination. Humans were still small players in galactic terms, but they were learning, growing, and slowly revealing their potential. She did not need the Council's approval or recognition. Humans had always relied on themselves, and she knew that this independence, combined with creativity, was their greatest strength. One evening, after the miners' rescue, Kane and Orvan met quietly in a private observation chamber. The stars stretched infinitely outside, a constant reminder of the vastness of space. Captain Kane, Orvan began. Your people are remarkable. Even I did not fully anticipate this. Kane smiled slightly. I think humans always surprise themselves before they surprise others. We find ways forward because we must. There is no other choice. Orvan nodded. I fear the galaxy is not ready for what humans can do. And yet, they may be the ones to change it for the better. The next day, the council convened again. Orvan raised his warning one final time. Observe humans carefully. Treat them with respect. Do not underestimate them. Their trajectory is unlike any other. To ignore this is to invite consequences we may not survive. The council members politely nodded. Then they moved on to the next agenda item. Trade agreements on exotic energy crystals. Orvan watched, a silent worry in his heart. Humans were young. They were untested. And yet, within their minds and spirits lay something that no prophecy had fully captured. A spark of limitless potential. As humans continued their work on Viridian, Captain Kane felt the quiet weight of responsibility. They were newcomers, yes, but every step they took could shape the galaxy's future. Every problem they solved, every challenge they overcame, was a lesson not just for humans, but for every species that underestimated them. By the end of Part 1, the stage was set. Humans were underestimated, the Elders' warnings were ignored, and yet the spark of greatness had already begun to shine. The galaxy had yet to realize it, but the true journey of humanity was only beginning. The galaxy was beginning to whisper about humans. At first, it was quiet rumors among alien traders and council members, tales of small, earthborn beings achieving feats others had thought impossible. Then came the reports. Colonies where humans had solved problems no other species could. Machines repaired themselves. Cities powered themselves. And even the harshest climates became habitable, because humans would not accept impossible. Captain Alara Kane monitored these reports from the human command ship orbiting Nova 3, a young colony on a desert planet. She had grown used to the mixture of curiosity, admiration, and fear that humans inspired in the galaxy. The latest intelligence worried her, not because it showed human weakness, but because it showed how much the galaxy still underestimated them. Nova 3 was struggling. The planet's thin atmosphere and sandstorms made daily life difficult. The human settlers had established mining operations, water collection systems, and small energy plants. But one thing remained constant. Survival demanded creativity. Kane walked among the humans in their colony, observing their methods. "Captain," said Lieutenant Rajan, a young engineer, "we've encountered a problem with the new energy converters. The sand keeps clogging the turbines, and if it fails, we'll lose half the colony's power." Kane crouched beside him, examining the device. "What if we reverse the airflow? Create a filtering shield using existing turbines? It may not be perfect, but it could keep the main systems running." Rajan blinked. "That's actually brilliant. I'll get a team on it right away." Within hours, the turbines were running smoothly. Small human ingenuity, combined with determination, had solved a problem that other species would have abandoned or required massive outside assistance to fix. This was not the first time humans had improvised solutions, and it would not be the last. Far across the galaxy, news of Nova 3 reached alien factions who had long considered humans weak. Many had grown arrogant, believing that humans could be easily contained or ignored. The Xylar Collective, a militaristic species known for its strict hierarchy and advanced weaponry, decided to test human strength. They sent a small fleet to observe the colony, expecting to intimidate and dominate. The humans, unaware of the Xylar fleet at first, continued their work. Yet subtle signs did not escape their notice. Drones recorded unusual signals, and Nova 3's sensors picked up distant energy signatures moving with intent. Captain Kane assembled her officers. "Something is coming," she said. "It is not yet hostile, but we cannot ignore it. We prepare, we adapt, and we observe. That is what humans do best." The Xylar fleet arrived at Nova 3's orbit, projecting a faint but unmistakable display of force. Other alien races would have panicked. Humans, however, analyzed the fleet's patterns, predicted its maneuvers, and created countermeasures using automated defense systems and energy shields. No human had ever piloted a spaceship against such odds before, yet their strategies were fast, flexible, and unconventional. When the Xylar fleet attempted to disrupt the colony's operations, the humans responded not with brute force, but with intelligence. Drones mimicked the Xylar fleet's movements, creating decoys. Adaptive shields protected the colony's core. Humans even used the planet's sandstorms to mask their energy signatures, confusing the intruders. Hours later, the Xylar ships withdrew. They had expected an easy victory. Instead, they faced a species capable of outthinking a military force far superior in technology and experience. Back in the Galactic Synod, Master Orvan watched the report with a sense of grim satisfaction. "Finally," he murmured, "they see what I have been saying. Humans are not merely adaptable. They are unpredictable, resourceful, and relentless." Not everyone in the council shared Orvan's concern. Some delegates argued that the humans were lucky, that their victories were circumstantial, and that their rise could be contained with careful diplomacy or strategic agreements. But Orvan knew better. Human history was filled with moments of unlikely success, born of courage and ingenuity. Luck had little to do with it. Determination had everything. Meanwhile, Captain Kane worked tirelessly to stabilize the Nova 3 colony. She oversaw infrastructure projects, trained new engineers, and mediated disputes among settlers. Humans, she observed, thrived when given responsibility. They cooperated, debated, and often disagreed, but always worked toward a common goal. This unity, combined with creativity, was their greatest advantage. The Xylar fleet, humbled but curious, reported back to their homeworld. Analysts debated the nature of humans. Could such a species truly be contained? Could they be predicted? Their council meetings grew tense. Some argued for cooperation, while others whispered about preemptive strikes. Humanity, they realized, was a wild card in the galaxy's carefully balanced order. On another planet, the council elders convened in secret. Orvan presented his analysis. Humans had surpassed expectations in less than a decade since joining the Synod. Their colonies were self-sustaining, their technology evolving faster than any previous species, and their tactical ingenuity rendered conventional military strategy almost useless. We cannot ignore them any longer, Orvan said. Humans will not be controlled. They will not submit to our expectations. If we continue to underestimate them, we may face consequences beyond our comprehension. Some elders still hesitated. The galaxy was used to hierarchy, to predictable growth of species. Humans did not follow such rules. That unpredictability was frightening, but also fascinating. As tensions grew in the wider galaxy, humans remained focused on survival and innovation. They explored new planets, tested energy harvesting technologies, and developed faster-than-light communications that allowed colonies to coordinate across light years. Humans were building a network of intelligence, creativity, and cooperation that no one had foreseen. Captain Kane reflected on the lessons humans had learned on Earth. Wars had taught them strategy. Famine had taught them resourcefulness. Exploration had taught them curiosity and adaptability. These traits were now interwoven into human culture, giving them an edge unmatched by mere technology. The Xylar fleet returned a few months later, this time with a larger force. Humans, anticipating their arrival, had already adapted. They used the planet's terrain, energy fields, and atmospheric conditions to create a network of defenses. What appeared to the Xylar as chaos was actually careful orchestration. Ships were rerouted, power grids manipulated, and automated drones acted as decoys. Every move the Xylar made, humans countered with creative and unexpected solutions. The result was stunning. The Xylar fleet withdrew once more, reporting that humans were more dangerous than predicted. Some analysts suggested negotiating alliances. Others simply wondered if humans could ever be stopped. Meanwhile, Captain Kane met again with Orvan in a private chamber aboard the observation station orbiting Nova 3. The elder's silver eyes reflected a mixture of awe and concern. "You continue to surprise us," Orvan said. "I warned the council, but few listened. Perhaps now they will understand." Kane smiled softly. "Humans have always surprised each other first. We do not see limits in the same way other species do. Challenges are problems to solve, not obstacles to fear." Orvan nodded slowly. "It is remarkable and dangerous. For you and for the galaxy, humans may yet become the most influential species in history." As the conversation ended, Kane looked out at the stars. "We do not seek dominance," she said. "We seek growth, understanding, and survival. But if anyone underestimates humans, they will learn their mistake." By now, other species were noticing. Traders whispered about human ingenuity. Scientists debated their adaptability. Even those who sought to exploit human colonies found that humans were unpredictable, clever, and resilient. The elders, watching quietly, began to realize the truth. The warnings they had whispered months ago were no longer theoretical. Humans were already shaping the galaxy, and their potential was only beginning to show. Nova 3's success became a turning point. Colonies flourished, interstellar communications improved, and humans began to connect in ways no other species had imagined. Yet for all their victories, they remained humble. Captain Kane reminded her people that every step forward was a lesson, every challenge, a chance to grow, and every encounter with alien species an opportunity to show humanity's best qualities. Despite the Xylar attacks and increasing tensions, humans were not driven by fear or anger. They were driven by curiosity, courage, and a desire to solve the problems in front of them. Other species had technology. Humans had imagination, determination, and the willingness to adapt instantly. That combination, Orvan realized, was the spark that could change everything. The parting words of Orvan echoed in his private log. Humans are young, yet older than many in spirit. They are small, yet vast in potential. The galaxy may resist, ignore, or challenge them, but one day, it will have no choice but to recognize their place among the stars. As Part 2 closed, the stage was set. Humans had proven their ingenuity and resilience. Alien factions were beginning to notice. Some with fear, some with admiration, and the Galactic Synod, still slow to act, faced a reality it could no longer ignore. The rise of humans was accelerating, and no prediction could fully capture the force they represented. The galaxy had underestimated them once. That mistake would not be repeated for long. The galaxy was no longer whispering about humans. It was talking openly, debating in councils, and, in some cases, plotting against them. Rumors of human ingenuity and resilience had spread from Nova 3 to the farthest colonies. The Xylar fleet, humbled and wary, was only one of several alien factions observing humans with growing concern. Captain Alara Kane stood on the bridge of the human flagship Horizon's Dawn, overlooking the colony systems. Communication channels were buzzing. Not with panic, but with coordination. Humans had developed a network linking every colony, enabling them to share knowledge, energy resources, and defense strategies across light years. Captain, Lieutenant Rajan reported, we are receiving unusual activity on the Thalor Rim. Multiple fleets from different factions are moving toward human space. Estimates suggest a coordinated strike. Kane's expression remained calm, though her mind raced. This was the moment she had anticipated, not an accidental conflict, but a deliberate challenge. Humans had prepared for this by expanding their intelligence networks, creating adaptable defense systems, and training colonists in rapid response strategies. We expected this, Kane said quietly. Alert all colonies. Initiate the adaptive defense protocols. We do not fight blindly. We fight intelligently. And we survive. For weeks, humans worked tirelessly. Colonists modified ships and stations to respond to multiple threats at once. Engineers created energy shields that could shift frequencies to counter alien weapons. Scientists developed drones capable of independent decision-making, anticipating enemy movements before they occurred. When the alien fleets finally arrived at the outskirts of human space, they expected chaos. They expected humans to panic, to falter, to be crushed by overwhelming force. What they found instead was organization, strategy, and adaptability. Ships moved with precision, using environmental conditions to their advantage. Nebulas obscured energy signatures. Magnetic storms disrupted communications, but humans had prepared for these, creating systems that learned and adapted in real time. Each attack was countered not with raw force, but with clever strategy, misdirection, and innovation. The Xylar, observing this, sent a warning to their allies. These humans, they are unlike anything we imagined. They do not react predictably. Every move they make adapts to ours. We cannot anticipate them using conventional tactics. Captain Kane, meanwhile, coordinated with her colonies through a new quantum communication network. She directed energy flows, repositioned defensive satellites, and even guided civilian ships to act as strategic decoys. Every human, from soldiers to engineers to scientists, contributed to the response. Days turned into nights, and the alien fleets realized that the humans were not just defending, they were outthinking them. Every attack was met with an unexpected maneuver, every strategy countered with creativity. The aliens had underestimated the humans' ability to adapt, to cooperate, and to think beyond standard tactics. On the Galactic Synod, the elders observed with awe. Master Orvan's eyes shone with a mixture of pride and concern. "They do not simply fight," he whispered. "They calculate, they improvise, they learn in real time. They are extraordinary." Other elders argued in fear. "If humans continue this growth," one said, "they will dominate the galaxy. We cannot allow this." Orvan shook his head. "They are not seeking dominance in the way we fear. They seek survival and progress. That is the difference." Back in the human network, Kane noticed a pattern emerging. Alien fleets were beginning to coordinate poorly. They had underestimated human adaptability. And now confusion spread among their ranks. Using this, Kane orchestrated a strategic maneuver. A simulated retreat in one sector that drew part of the alien fleet into a trap. Adaptive drones and environmental manipulation rendered the trapped ships ineffective. No lives were lost unnecessarily, yet the human position became stronger. After days of careful strategy, the alien fleets began to withdraw, realizing that humans were not opponents to defeat with brute force. Humans were partners to respect, or forces to reckon with if underestimated. Captain Kane, standing on the bridge of Horizon's Dawn, felt the weight of victory, but also responsibility. "We have won today," she said to Lieutenant Rajan, "but the galaxy is changing. We must continue to grow, to adapt, and to show the best of humanity. Strength is not just survival, it is how we use it wisely." Across human colonies, celebrations were modest. There was relief, yes, but also focus. Humans had faced the galaxy's largest coordinated challenge and survived not because they were the strongest, but because they were the smartest, most adaptable, and most united. The Galactic Synod called an emergency meeting. Elders debated for hours, finally reaching a historic decision. Humans would be recognized not merely as participants in the galaxy, but as a major species with influence and respect. Their ingenuity, cooperation, and moral courage had proven that they could shape the galaxy positively without resorting to unnecessary aggression. Master Orvan addressed the council. "I warned you months ago," he said. "Yet many did not listen. Humans are not just clever or brave, they embody qualities that the galaxy has seldom seen: creativity, adaptability, and a moral compass balanced with intelligence. They have earned respect, and the galaxy would do well to recognize it." Captain Kane stood quietly at the back of the council hall, observing the proceedings. She did not boast or demand recognition. Humans had never sought power for its own sake. They sought to grow, to learn, to survive, and in doing so, they had become a force the galaxy could not ignore. In private, Orvan approached Kane. "Your people have shown us what was foretold, yet in ways no prophecy could fully capture. Humans do not simply rise, they transform the world around them. I am both proud and cautious of what comes next." Kane smiled. "We do not seek to conquer or dominate. We only seek to move forward, to explore, and to grow. If others benefit from our methods, they may join us in progress. If not, they will learn that humans are not easily contained." Months later, human colonies thrived across multiple star systems. New technologies were shared freely among their own networks, creating prosperity and stability. Conflicts were resolved not by force alone, but by negotiation, intelligence, and foresight. Humans had proven a simple truth. When underestimated, they adapt, innovate, and endure beyond expectation. Other species began to reconsider their approach. Some sought alliances with humans, hoping to learn and benefit from their ingenuity. Others maintained caution, wary of the unpredictable creativity humans displayed. But all recognized one undeniable fact. Humans were no longer a species to be dismissed or underestimated. The Galactic Synod officially granted humans permanent recognition as full members, with significant influence. Captain Kane, while honored, reminded her people that recognition alone did not define humanity's purpose. Humans had the potential to shape not just technology or strategy, but the morals and values of the galaxy itself. On a quiet observation deck aboard Horizon's Dawn, Kane looked out at the stars, reflecting on the journey. From the young colonies of Nova 3 to the coordinated human networks across systems, one truth had become clear. Humans succeeded not because they were the strongest, but because they were united, inventive, and relentless in pursuit of solutions. Master Orvan joined her, gazing at the stars in silence. The prophecies spoke of danger. He said softly, "I feared humans as a threat. Now I see. They are a challenge. Yes, but a challenge that may save the galaxy. If others follow their example." If others follow their example, Kane nodded. We do not seek to dominate. We seek to survive, to grow, and to show what is possible when intelligence, creativity, and morality guide action. That is humanity's true power. Orvan smiled faintly. Then the galaxy has much to learn from you, and from yourselves. As the sun rose over distant planets, human colonies continued their work. Engineers solved new problems, scientists explored new worlds, settlers built homes in the harshest environments, and Captain Kane, observing it all, understood that the journey was only beginning. Humans had proven themselves, but their true legacy would be measured not just by survival or victories, but by how they inspired the galaxy to rethink what was possible. The warning of the elders had been true. Humans were dangerous, not in the sense of aggression, but in the sense of potential unbound by expectation. Those who had ignored the warnings learned a lesson the hard way, and the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. As Part 3 concluded, humans had risen from underestimated newcomers to a species respected and admired across the stars. Their journey showcased the essence of HFY humanity: ingenuity, adaptability, courage, and moral strength. The stars, once distant and daunting, now belonged to a species willing to meet challenges with brains, heart, and unity, and the galaxy would never be the same.